Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's up, dude?
And on the sticks, we got TJ.
Hello.
And finally, today we got Jeffrey from Recursive IO joining us for today. Appreciate you joining, man.
Jim, guys.
All right.
GM.
So we've seen a lot of your tweets. Been very impressed with what you've been working on.
Yeah, I think this discussion's a little like, I don't know, like we should have probably interacted with you probably a month or two back once you started actually deploying some of the first experience on top of Bitmap. So we'll get into that, exactly what that means for people who aren't aware. But I guess you have probably been following along the Bitmap evolution as long as we have. So, and of course, the whole call to action of Bitmap itself is who's going to come and build value on top of it. So you guys have definitely been one of the biggest contributors thus far. So yeah, we figured let's invite you on. Let's have like a deep dive conversation about all things Metaverse, all things Bitcoin, ordinals, and where do we all think this thing is headed?
Yeah, Jeffrey, did you happen to catch the interview between Lex and Zuck that happened over the weekend?
No, sorry, I didn't catch that. I will do that after this.
Yes, definitely watch it because they have an entire conversation in the Metaverse.
Yeah,
and it's very, very impressive. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, but just have the context is you say Metaverse, really it's just like a dark room with like two floating heads, but they're like the most accurately rendered heads of all time.
Yeah, that is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's very convincing, and it feels like one of those inflection moments where now people are starting to realize like, hey, this Metaverse thing has legs. There's
if you look at the comment section, they all say that they were all impressed, which is the stark difference between just a year ago where everyone hated the Metaverse.
Agreed. So I feel like we're entering this new bullish period.
Yeah.
So let's get into what you guys have been working on. If you can, Jeff, just give us a quick rundown first of all, like your background and history in Web3 or Web2, and like how are you gravitating towards this ordinals and bitmaps ecosystem?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of old games. I've been playing games for like 25 years. And we have lots of experience building games, game engines, VR games, Metaverse in Web2. And when we're building VR games, there's nothing called Metaverse. It's just called like virtual world. So people go in there and have fun, chill. And then we have an app, mobile app, and we have 35 million users in just 6 months. So we experience lots of stuff with like people actually loving doing these kind of things in Metaverse. Like they actually have the concerts, they have like virtual classes. Like some people actually have virtual weddings in our app. So we have lots of confidence in that. And I'm a crypto guy. Like I know Bitcoin long ago, and all my investors, all my friends are doing crypto like 10 years ago. All these big guys you guys know about, Tron Network, Binance, like we are very, very close fans back then in China. So, but we didn't decide to do Metaverse in Web3 because I think there's something missing in Web3 to build an actual Metaverse. So I missed that opportunity like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But when I saw ordinals coming out, I was like inscribing some random inscriptions like in February, in March, and also the BRC20 thing came out. So we saw, okay, what can we do on Bitcoin? And then we saw BMAPs.
Yeah.
Like that is something we never saw before. It's fully decentralized. It's a concept like not owned by anybody. So we actually believe this can bring something far beyond our expectation in the future, which right now I think few people know about this or few people like understand or believe this, but we saw that opportunity. So we pivot our whole team from Binance Chain, from Solana to Bitcoin to actually build games, Metaverse, game engines, tools, marketplaces here. So that's like the basic background.
Dude, that's music to my ears. As soon as we all saw Bitmap, at least between Iman and I, we knew instantly that there was a lot of value, and you picked up the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's important to have that background in already developing in this Metaverse space, right? Because
really understand quickly.
Yeah, that's a good like piggyback. Like, what's your, I guess, interpretation of like what is the most valuable potential behind like all of us developers who before Bitmap we all had our own fragmented effort, right? We're building our own either virtual worlds or our own virtual stacks. whatever chain. What do you think is different now that there's a standard in place for all of us to kind of like, build in parallel with one another? Like, how do you interpret the potential of that?
Yeah, because like the reason I didn't pay much attention to all this metaverse like sandbox, decentraland, because I think every product or game has like a life expectancy. So like a game can survive like 6 months, 12 months, which is great. But after that, people get bored about it or people lose money on it and people just don't play it. Mm-hmm. So we can see this happen in Web3 all the time, like Axie Infinity, like Steppen. We try them, we buy stuff at low price and we sell them at high price. Some people make money, but most people lose their money. So like I'm not gonna say morally, but personally, I don't believe in that kind of value. So we didn't do anything about this. We're just building infras. But with Bitmaps, it's actually something people own. Like we 23, 25K users own Bitmaps. And the future builders, projects, teams, they have to build around it, like us. Like we don't own Bitmaps. But I mean, we have some BMAP, but we don't own the concept of BMAP. But we build stuff. We spend lots of money, time, effort building the Explorer, building the marketplace for BMAPs. And we believe in the future, no matter it's Animoca, no matter it's whatever company they are, they have to build around BMAPs. If they don't, I don't think they will be accepted by the users in the owner space. Yeah. So whenever they build or like why they die, why they lose, why they succeed, it doesn't matter. Only matters is the bitmap we own is going to be valuable and more valuable in the future.
So what is it about Bitmap specifically that allows a creator and developer such as yourself to see so much value though? Like what is it? The fact that we have 25,000 holders? Is it the fact that it's a blank slate? Is it the fact that it's using Bitcoin data to manifest a district and parcels? Like, what part about any of that interests you as a developer?
Yeah, and to me, I think different people have different ideas. We actually had a space before with Aximate about Bitmaps. Like even I and him have like different opinions. Like for me, I'm not a big fan of these block tributes, like Bitmap Punk or Billionaire. I mean, I have them, but I'm not a big fan of them. So for me personally, I think the immortality, like everything is immortal on Bitcoin. This is something like can be interested in the first place. Yeah. So if I have a space like in Bitmap and I can inscribe something meaningful to me, like in my family's photos, the music I make, or some letters I send to anyone, or the experience we have there. So if these things can be immortal on chain, I think that's something going to last forever. Like right now, all these shitcoins or altcoins, they are going to zero, but Bitcoin is still going very strong. So that is first thing, like we are interested. And also, like we said before, it's decentralized, so nobody can control this. Like no matter who is like gone today, like if I'm missing or Blockbodo is missing, it doesn't matter. Bitmap will be there forever. So I think that's like the main reasons I pick Bitmap at first. And then we saw some, open source interoperability about it. So actually right now, you can see lots of projects building on it. But when you look into it, we can actually be composable to each other. Like when we were talking to the inscribe.space, I don't know if you guys have tried that. Like some people love it. But like, okay, then we can say you can actually deploy that inscribe.space thing on the Bitmap Explorer in our website. You don't have to pay gas fee for it because you already have the HTML inscription on chain. So when you go into Bitmap, you can see that space. So everything is composable, is interoperable. That's something we think is very different. Like you cannot play sandbox in Decentraland, right? Yeah. But you can play all these kind of projects in multiple Bitmap projects.
Yeah, I think we're gonna 100% agree with you there. It's like a concept that we've been trying to proliferate as long as we've been developing in this space, is the idea of the application layer of the metaverse. It's going to be very reminiscent to the application layer of the internet, right? So in the same way, I guess like functions or different stacks of the internet are interoperable, meaning like they could all be deployed when you custom create your own web platform or web page, whatever. I think the same expectations will exist when you're developing in a virtual environment, right? Like a lot of these same functionalities should be able to port over and carry over to different virtual platforms, right?
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
if you develop something in HTML, it's going to run
Mhm.
on your own website because you develop it. But if you copy and paste that code and
Yeah.
put it on your computer, it's going to run as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
So
we
I
need
think
the same functionality for the metaverse.
yeah, so like exactly what you're saying, like inscribe whatever it is, whatever stack I guess that gets built, like inscribe.space has built a stack, right? They've built a builder tool and they've have their own functionalities as far as like their own physics rendering within that within this content layer.
Mm-hmm.
All that can be, ported over and deployed as part of another, virtual ecosystem like the one you're building with your Explorer, right? And then you could port in some other
Mm-hmm.
components of another stack as well into that. So obviously it's there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be put in place to enable this. So I guess I guess that would be a good question. So I guess kind of break down your current day Explorer, right? Because we've seen the how you've kind of created a next level version of a Twitter space.
Yeah.
And wrapped like a 2D/3D hybrid environment around that on top of people's bitmaps, right? So we saw that and we're like, this guy gets it, right?
Yeah.
we've been talking about Twitter spaces are so boring in comparison to what can be done in the metaverse space, right? And we've been asking so long for somebody to come out and create like a much more socially intimate experience for that. So explain a little bit about what that is, and I guess like what your future vision of that, what can that manifest into?
Yeah, a start, we just want to have an Explorer that shows your BMAP. Like even until now, there's no other product doing that. So if you have like 1,000 BMAPs or 2,000 BMAPs, you cannot go to any website like shows like the location of the BMAPs. Because when people inscribe BMAPs, they actually care about locations. So if you go to our website and check, like you can check anybody's BMAPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see lots of shapes, like numbers, alphabets, like heart shape, or their name, or even like big square, whatever, like the shape they inscribe. So they cares about the location and the shape. So we actually want to build that at first. And then we want to have users interaction with each other. Like right now you have all these websites and tools, but people cannot interact. So the first step of interaction is, talk to each other. So like chat, voice talk, or even in the future video. I think all these things can be done. It's very easy for us. And after that, we are actually going to have a huge version update. I think this month, because like now it's holiday, but after holiday, we're going to have a big version that it's called like social marketplace or BMAP marketplace. So you can actually have your listings from any other marketplace, like Unisat, Magic Eden, Honest Wallet, ID Club, whatever marketplace is. You can put that listing on your BMAP. So it's like you holding a store, like a 7-Eleven. So you can put that URL into a Twitter bio, and people going there, they can see, okay, like here is listings of your BS20, your NFTs, your BMAPs, or your Metaverse objects, whatever. They can actually see that. So it's like a Metaverse personal page, and people can go there, can leave a message, can buy your stuff. And if you are there, you can talk to them like with voice, and introduce them about this. This is just a start. So we'll have much more like user-friendly functions about trading. So we believe people actually want to trade on BMAPs or in Metaverse. And after that, probably gaming. Like we're not doing gaming right now. So people were asking about us, like, why you're building a 2D BMAP? 2D is kind of old school. Mm-hmm. Like our team is very experienced in 3D and VR, but we are building a 2D because 2D is more easy to use. We're always trying to bring something that people can actually get and use and use for hours. And 3D makes things cool. Mm-hmm. When you look at these traders, it's cool, it's fancy, but people actually don't have that time or energy to go into a 3D metaverse and do stuff with others. That's just my belief. So we are going from 2D to trade and to actually have marketplace there, and then some interaction or gaming in the future. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you are focusing on a 2D platform so that anybody can connect to their bitmap and essentially create a space where we can run around as little characters and actually use voice with each other. Is that correct?
Yeah, but like we said before, like trading, so you can have more kinds of interaction in the future, like voice moving around. Sure.
Okay.
Interesting.
Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built Mscribe, the first inscription platform built from the ground up for the metaverse on Bitcoin. Connect your Bitmap ordinals and use our tools to bring your community into the virtual realm. Support us by joining the movement at mscribe.io. Like, comment, and subscribe for the latest alpha. Back to the video.
And in this marketplace, you're gonna also facilitate like 2D content creation, I imagine. Like, so, creators can upload different 2D objects into their 2D spaces. Is that part of the plan as well?
Yeah, we actually have some builders actually I think the Bitpads is online, and I think somebody has done some skeleton avatar. It's open source. Like me or you guys can go to the website, follow the Gitbook, and you can inscribe like avatar, like Spider-Man or Iron Man or whatever. You can do that by yourself. It's free. And also, like we have another project called like BMAP Sports Car Club. So they can actually put all the sports car in that BMAP, and we can go in there, talk to each other, and pick out like Ferrari or whatever car we like and buy it for like $3, $5. And we can, when we buy it, we can like instantly drive that car away. So it's not working again. It's driving a sports car. So anything you can imagine from here, we can do that.
I think that's a good approach. It's just kind of like get people, because I guess the leap to, I guess, from standard everyday web user to like an immersive 3D thing, it's kind of a big leap for most normal people. Not so much for the gamer, the average typical gamer. Like we have a lot of experience immersing ourselves in 3D space. for a lot of different reasons, right? But
it was last week where we jumped into a baseball game, a virtual baseball game, and I ended up showing it to TJ, and he loved it. And he's
I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, but TJ's a gamer, you know, like lifelong. So it's like, dude, duh, of course you're gonna do this. You know,
but what was interesting is that the chat in that baseball game, they were only talking about the baseball game.
Yeah,
which I found interesting because that's what we would do if we were at a baseball game. We'd be talking about the baseball game.
Yeah, I just feel like there's just there's just like a little bit of friction there. I guess again, like the typical everyday web user who just spends all day on TikTok or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
and they don't play many like games. It's like it's just there's a little bit of I don't think it's a learning curve. It's just like an experience curve.
Sure.
Like how do am I going to be comfortable with this as like my new web domain, right?
Right.
My new way to experience the connected internet. But yeah, I guess getting them kind of like getting their appetites a little bit by introducing them all the cool factors of like, a multiplayer existence layer, aka the metaverse, whatever you want to call it as, but like a 2D environment, so it's a little bit more friendly.
Sure.
Approachable. I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Just to onboard some users and generate some traction. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, what's your take on how the ecosystem is going to evolve? Do you think it's going to be more competitive in the sense that you're going to create a platform where you connect your bitmap and it's going to be like a specific experience, and that same person can come to our platform, connect their bitmap, and it's going to have a different experience? Like, how do you see this rolling out? Is it going to be competitive, or are we're just going to connect our bitmaps to enable separate experiences from separate like projects?
I believe it will be competitive in the future, but right now we actually need more builders to come. Like I think we have to love competition right now, because without competition we cannot see great ideas. Like now I have my ideas, but most of my ideas are wrong, and that just everybody's that.
Sure.
So if we have like 10 times, 100 times more builders, we can actually do stuff and test it out, and the users will tell us like. Yeah. We have been building products for years, and we know only the users want is what we want to do in the future. It's not like our ego. So I think we need more competition right now. Like even like we have space with Life Beyond next week, and we just love that kind of discussion. Like even they don't use bitmaps. So what? We have more people come, share different ideas, and I think the best team or best community will win. But it's not a win or lose game. It's like a building together kind of ecosystem.
Yeah, we just had a conversation with Ben from Life Beyond, and he was explaining how they were thinking about using bitmaps for Life Beyond, but it's still sort of early, and it's very hard for like a project that has been working on their experience to kind of pivot and switch how they think about building a metaverse in the context of like Bitcoin and bitmaps specifically. So it's definitely tough. Now, can they do it? Yes, they can. But it has to kind of fit within like,
Yeah.
revenue generating models and all this stuff, which makes
Yeah.
things more complex.
I think there's probably some unexplored hybrid approach, like to a AAA,
Yeah.
I guess, like IP like that, like Life Beyond, where they already have this vast immersive experience already pretty much generated and built, right? So you can create like these, these parallel ecosystems along with that, and that is a lot more, I guess, tied or rooted to the bitmap space, I guess, protocol. But still, it all like, I guess, like,
fits within that
or it's
universe.
it's all interlinked, right? Like not everything has to be like along with the bitmap standard. But,
I agree. Agreed. Yeah, you can have like you can have your own experience, like completely custom design, but then you have like external, like pocket cities.
Kind of like how Decentraland started out as a open traversable world, right? They had 100,000 parcels, and then at some point it's like, this is very limiting. Like we actually want the metaverse to be like infinite in scope. Like anybody can come in and participate in our ecosystems. Why are we limiting it to like 8,000 holders?
Yeah. Correct.
So let's create these things called worlds, right? Which are basically like individual server spaces where anybody can custom create their own ecosystem, but it all interlinks and interweaves.
Yeah, and it still looks like Decentraland.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Life Beyond, anybody building in a virtual space can kind of integrate this concept.
Yeah. So it's definitely possible. So I'm definitely shout out to the Life Beyond team. We're definitely gonna hopefully be there during that Twitter space, because you're right, it is all about collaboration. This metaverse endeavor thing, it's not going to be solved by any one team, and we know that from personal experience. There's like so many times where we like want to solve all the problems, but we know we cannot.
Yeah, even Meta can't do it by themselves.
Yeah, so it is all about collaboration and teamwork, right?
Yeah. Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel?
We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse.
Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game, Rovi.ai.
Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io.
Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated.
Back to the video. So speaking of Twitter Spaces, I listened to you speak on one of them, and you were talking about the differences because you have a lot of Web 2 experience. So, and then we like to label, and there's actually a lot of closed metaverse ecosystems in Web 3 as well. So you were kind of breaking down the differences between open and closed metaverse platforms, I guess. So, and the differentiations between the two, and what are the benefits of opening up an ecosystem and what can flourish as a result. If you can kind of like elaborate on those concepts from your own personal experience, and then why, like, Bitmap being probably one of the first true open source protocol standards for like the metaverse construction. What do you see as the big pros and cons between the two?
Yeah, I think we don't need another closed platform anymore, because we already have Roblox. I'm a big fan of Roblox, and I play it, I build it. So it's very cool. It's somehow decentralized, so people actually can contribute and build stuff. But you can only play that kind of game on their platform. So that's the reason they're making money. I mean, that's cool in Web 2. But in Web 3, we see all these games, Metaverse, AAA games. Like, I'm not a big fan of AAA because I play actual AAA games like Dota or CSGO. Like I don't believe in any kind of like Web 3 people can build AAA. It's impossible, like, to be honest, because AAA game takes years, 3 years, 5 years. And in crypto, it's always like bear market, bull market. So you don't have that kinds of resources building AAA games in bear market. And when bull market comes, you don't have time. So that's something, a paradox. Okay, so back to the open market or open source concept. I think everything you build in Bitcoin or in any other chain, it has to, like, it can be used in your product, but it also can be used in another product. That's called like open source or interoperable. So when you have like pets or a sports car in our Explorer, when there's another Explorer or there's another like a 2D game, your assets can be used and played there. So you actually own these assets. It's not like you can only play here. So when like we failed or we have done this, we make lots of money and we left, and your assets go to zero. That happens in Ethereum all the time. I have like 10,000 objects from all kinds of game files, and they're worthless right now. So that's why I think it should be open source. And we need so many stuff like to build this. So first, we need a standard. So that's how people can read your assets. Like Bitmap and BRC20, we have all these indexers. So we have to have a standard, and all these indexers can read your stuff so they can be used at other places as well. And also, if you are trying to build a 3D game, like right now we have all these web games, 2D games, it's easy. The main reason, like one of the main reasons we build 2D games, because 2D can be interoperable very easy.
Yeah.
But when you are building a 3D game, it's like 100 times more complicated.
Yeah.
Like the render, the shader, like Unreal 5, Unity is not open source. So these games cannot be interoperable because the engine they use. So we actually have an open source engine in other chains before, and we want to have that kind of concept on Bitcoin as well. We'll inscribe the whole engine on chain so everyone can use that, and it can build for like 3D games, VR games, AAA games, if you call it. So actually, when you use that, your assets will be immortal forever. That's like the concept we love about ordinals. So we believe only these type of things can live for a longer time. If you're building a closed game, the length of your life is like expected for like 6 months, 12 months. No one can change that. Even Blizzard or Ubisoft, no one can change that.
Jeffrey, what's your opinion on having completely all those assets on chain? Are we going to see like a hybrid like design approach, like architecture for like 3D and VR games where much of it isn't decentralized? Or should we be focusing on, doing what you're talking about, like inscribing engines and then allowing developers to leverage those engines using, recursive inscriptions and things like that? Like, how, what's the scope of metaverse development when everything is on chain?
Yeah. So I think that question, I don't have a final answer, but we want to make sure that we do as much as we can to make sure all things are on chain. I believe in the future, something will not be on chain. Like the voice function we use in our Explorer, of course, it's not on chain. It's like from Amazon or whatever provider they do, right? But for assets, like people own assets because they believe this assets is useful. Like I buy a car today, I have to drive this car in my city, another city. Like you cannot limit my use of my car in only one area, right? So that's why we call ourselves Recursiverse. We believe if we do anything about Metaverse in the ordinal space, we have to use Recursive Protocol. No matter it's for the asset itself, like the BRC420, if you see the standard, it's all using Recursive Protocol. Or you are trying to do something as like we call modular development. So if you inscribe a gameplay, and others can use that gameplay, not to spend time doing that, use that gameplay as a module and by paying you royalty to build a game. So building a game could be much easier. We have done that before in Web2. So you use all people's modules to build a game for yourself. It takes you like 1 hour, 2 hours to do so. So it's easy for everyone. And this kinds of like mechanism actually bring more and more innovation because not everyone is like a full stack like developer.
Sure.
You're always good at one point.
Yeah.
Dude, that's such an interesting sort of outlook for the futures where you're envisioning developers and creators to contribute to the collective construction of the metaverse by, inscribing all these like modules, like you're saying.
Yeah. Like packaging, I guess, like maybe like ubiquitously expected like functions within these game environments, right? Like, hey, I have a ball in my space. I want to be able to kick it. And whenever I do, I hit the interact button like you do in a Roblox, right? You can interact with objects.
Yeah.
They perform specific functions when you do that, right? So it'd be nice if I can apply that in as many cases as possible, right? So what you're advocating for is like packaging that functionality into something called a module, right? And inscribing that knowledge base into like leveraging Bitcoin as like a library for all these different templates, right?
Yeah, and that happens all the time, Web2. Like people just don't realize that. Like, have you guys played Dota before?
Oh yeah. Don't even get it, dude. I got a 10K plus hour.
Only 10,000 hours.
Yeah, it's like here. Dota is like created by a nobody called IceFrog, right? Using Warcraft editor to do so. And also like Counter-Strike, it's made from like a mod from the Half-Life.
Yeah.
And like all the great games are the ideas from an independent developer. So myself, I believe in independent developers, not big guys. All the great stuff are from them. So if we have this kind of mechanism that you can actually inscribe your modules, and the people can use that, and also you will get paid by them using your module. So everyone benefits, and we will see much more innovation after that.
Yeah.
Are those modules based on like a particular engine, or how would that work exactly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's why we have to pick from like what kinds of standards. So if you're using Unity, your module probably is different from Unreal 5.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's why we have to bring something that universal for every builder. Roblox does that very well because they're using Lua. So Lua is kind of great language that you can use Lua for all kinds of purpose, and it's easy of use and easy like to learn. I actually can build a game with ChatGPT by telling me how to do Lua coding. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but we need a universal standard for it, and it's open source.
Do we have an option? Like, well, what would you, if you had to pick an open source engine for Bitmap or just Bitcoin in general? Is there an option out there, or is that something that we need to build out from the ground up?
I think Godot is a great option. I think that's the best option.
Godot? Interesting.
Yeah. Have you guys used that before?
Yes.
Or heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yeah. What about 3JS?
3JS only, they can only build like web-based kind of game, or they don't like have like rendering and lightning, like more sophisticated features.
Okay.
But Godot is open source. It's free for everyone. You can inscribe that on Linux. And even Sony, they have AAA games by using Godot. So I think it's competitive, it's good, and it's free.
Interesting. Okay. That gives me a lot more food for thought, because we have to come up with like our own development standard for what we're trying to build. Because if you know anything about us, we like to focus on the application layer of the metaverse, and so we've been doing this on Decentraland, and we want to bring this to Bitmap, but it needs to be done on top of an engine, and we're tinkering around with like Unreal and like 3JS and all that, and we haven't really got into Godot just yet, but we're gonna have to now after this conversation.
So does it boil down to just literally just whatever that? Because you're right, you said there has to be a universal standard, or I guess there doesn't have to be, but it would be beneficial to all developers. Yeah, if there was like a universal framework to start building content, right?
Yeah. What's important about this is that if there was, if we let's just say Godot gets inscribed onto Bitcoin, that gives all developers and creators who want to build on top of Bitmap a starting place to build out their environments.
Yeah.
And without that, then we're all just kind of like flailing out of the water.
We're seeing that right now, right?
Yeah.
There's multiple, I guess, stacks. Inscribed, that space has their own stack.
Yeah.
IMSO Chris has created his own stack.
Expector, Life Beyond.
Right, but they're not operating under the same framework in any way, right? They have their own interpretation as far as like what's better versus what's not, or maybe it's just something they're comfortable with. Who knows? But because this is how it's happening, we're re-experiencing the siloing, even within the Bitmap space.
Yeah,
which Bitmap was supposed to like solve this issue. We already see tremendous siloing in the Web3 metaverse space already, right? Where Decentraland, nothing that's built there it cannot communicate or be deployed anywhere outside of that walled garden. Same thing with Sandbox. Same thing with Somnium. So we can't just keep doing that over and over and over again, even on this opportunity that we have called Bitmaps, where we have a
cohesive starting point.
Yeah, a shared building space. Yeah. Right. So this is actually huge what you bring up.
Yeah.
As far as like this is probably
can I jump in here for a while?
Yes.
It sounds like I don't like the idea of a universal standard. It sounds like you have to learn our standard. So what our job is, we actually make like tens of different coding languages compatible with that open source engine. So no matter you are using JavaScript or the C# from Unity or C++ or Lua or Python, all this language you are familiar with, you can do that with that open source engine. So it's universal standard. It's not like something you have to learn from zero. Like all developers hate that. Like if I want to learn a new language, it will kill me, right? It takes like months to learn how to do that. So you can still use language, the tools you are familiar with, but you just have to be compatible with that kind of standard. So that's our job to do. It's a long way, but we believe that's the right answer.
Yeah, it's a long way. I think that's important too, because.
So are you saying with Godot, you can use any language that you're familiar with, C#, JavaScript, anything like that?
Yeah, we have already done that. Yeah, like a year ago.
Okay. So is that something that you did personally, or is that part of the collective development of Godot?
Godot has done some of it. I think it's open source because someone like anyone can post this kind of proposal in their platform. So some people have done some groundwork, but it's not working very well because it's a small community and people don't do that by getting paid. So we have actually upgraded this and make this more user friendly for all these developers. We have been doing that for years because we want to do that on Ethereum. But since we don't like Ethereum chain right now, so we actually bring this to Ordinals. So actually people can see that for the first time. We haven't published yet, but we have been building that for years.
I have two questions. Can you give me an example of a AAA game using Godot?
Yeah, I think Sony, the Japanese company, they have a game based on Sonic.
Oh, okay.
It's on PS4. It's on PC.
Okay.
It's 3D. Yeah, it's built by Godot.
So, do you believe that inscribing an engine is that do you think that's like the biggest problem to solve right now for bitmaps?
I don't think inscribing the engine is the main thing to do. I think it's getting people realize that we have realize the idea of this kind of universal standard interoperability. This kind of idea is important.
Okay, so basically, if we had more exposure to Bitmap to creators and developers, you think that they would inherently sort of understand the opportunity here, kind of like we did on this call. Like all of us, we knew how important Bitmap was as soon as we saw it.
Yeah, I think more talking, more space, of course. But as a builder myself, I believe we have to make some cases. Yes. So if we have some really successful teams coming from Web2 or other chains can actually adopt our standard and build some great games here, and all these great games assets can be interoperable. So people can actually realize or experience it. The experience is very important. So if you have that car in that game and you can drive that car in another game, that kind of experience will let you know, okay, this is important. Because people, most people cannot imagine the things they haven't seen before. They have to see it first and then believe it.
Yeah. Such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
we could talk all day about this stuff, but until we have a showcase demonstration of not only how it functions and how to leverage it, but also the success of it when it's actually properly manifested, right? That's critical.
Yeah, and the most common example is if you were to ask somebody, 120 years ago what they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse.
Yeah.
Right. They wouldn't say I want a car.
Yeah.
Right. And so, not until you show people what's possible, they're not going to want it.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I see. So, so when you take an engine like Godot, how do you know what to parse from the engine to be able to inscribe? Because you're going to have to do it in pieces. Is there a ton of engineering that you have to figure out here, or is it more straightforward than I'm thinking?
It's way complicated than you can imagine. So it takes some time. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So assuming that it gets accomplished, right? That means in order to invoke the Godot engine, you would have to recursively inscribe to multiple pieces of Godot, right?
Yeah, and when you're running this client on web or whatever client you're running, you have to loading this inscription first. So everyone has the same environment, same framework.
I see.
So they can render and run assets.
Yeah, I can see that this is being a big challenge, but once it's done, then we got a starting point. Right, for everybody. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best starting point or the correct one, but it's completely on chain.
Yeah, but so is this not an effort that can be again distributed as far as
how would you coordinate? How would you coordinate something like this?
What do you mean?
Well, to where it's not just you guys, or you, since you're proposing this idea, like it's not just your team focused on this initiative.
Yeah.
How do we create like a collaborative community of developers who can contribute to the parsing,
Oh yeah,
all this stuff?
yeah. I think we have like several approaches. So first, I think showcase is actually important. So if we have like we are very close to these GameFi teams, Metaverse teams in other chains. So we'll have like some people coming here, like Animoca, and they have the showcase. So everyone's having fun, and somehow people are making money of it. I think that's important, to be honest.
Sure. 100%.
So when people are having fun and making money on it, they will try to figure out so why we are making money on it. So then we give them the answer because it's interoperable, it's composable. So they will take the bite and think, okay, only these kind of assets can be important or valuable in the future.
Yeah,
that's approach one. Second approach is we're having like we see all these independent developers like 8-bit, like Sam, we see all these guys in Ordinals. If they are doing things with our editor, with our engine, with our tools, and they start making money on it, so more people will come. Like I said before, I believe in the strength, the energy of these independent developers.
Yeah.
So this is another approach. So I think we have several approaches, but I think showcase is definitely important because like people cannot understand your ideology until you show them the work.
So what would you say is an MVP experience of a good showcase? Like what in your vision would be like the end goal to really exemplify the accomplishment here?
I think we need to have some products that people actually use every day. Like I said before, marketplace, social marketplace, or social games, or Monopoly. We're building a Monopoly BMAP games, so people can actually go there, like make friends. Okay, that's not for money, but right? And you can buy stuff, and also you can have like a PvP game, like a money game, like against others, and make money on others.
Sure.
So I think we'll have more showcases, more small games, but all their data or all their assets are connected to each other.
Yeah.
So people will realize like, okay, this is very easy. Like when we're using Facebook, logging with Instagram, with 100%. All these products and sharing all our data and social graph, people will think, oh, this is easy. Like I can send a message to this guy and he will receive it on another product. Yes. Or I can invite this guy to my game room when they are playing another game. So when they see this kind of, very smooth, with like the flow is very good, they will realize, okay, this is kind of product we're building.
Okay, let's get into a little bit about the standard of what it is you've already put forth with BRC 420. I guess like this is how are you laying the foundations to this all with this specific standard, and what is it you're trying to enable with it?
Yeah, the BRC 420 have two parts. The first part is about the Metaverse standard. Like right now, if you read the Gitbook, it's very easy with 2D right now. So everybody can read that and build a pad, a sports car, an avatar, a sofa, a computer, a radio on our BMAP Explorer. So it's very easy. But that will get like expanded like in the future, of course, with our open source engine, with editor, with 3D games, even VR game. So that's the first part. The second part is about the royalties. So like when you are like playing the inscribe space, like people will ask, so who will inscribe the original inscriptions? Because it takes like so much money. Like when you inscribe like some on ordinals, it takes you like $500, even $1,000 to do so. So if people don't want to inscribe these kind of things, we will never see innovation based on that. So we want to encourage people to do that by, inscribing good stuff, meaningful stuff, cool stuff, and then getting paid of it. So that's why we have an on-chain royalty protocol. It's fully on-chain. It's not OpenSea or Magic Eden kinds of royalty program. It's fully on-chain. So when you inscribe something meaningful and you can put a label on it, like if you want to use that, recurse that, you have to pay like $10, $5, $3. And it's not something you have to, because everything is open source on Ordinals. Like when I was talking to Casey, like he was like, okay, Jeff, this is a great idea, but why would I pay something if it's free? I say it's not something you have to do. It's something you show your gratitude. You show your like encouragement to these guys by doing so. And all the indexes will label this as a paid royalty product. So when you do that, it takes you like less time, less money, and encouraging more people to building modules. So that's the second part of the BRC 420 protocol.
Interesting. So it's definitely like there's nothing like technically that's enforceable, right? As far as like an on-chain royalty payment mechanism, right? You can't
you can't force
automate
it.
like the enforcement. It's more like building the culture around this idea of supporting creators, supporting this economy, right? And then allowing the indexers to proliferate that to the end user, right? And of course the platform builders figuring out how best to leverage that to onboard their own, I guess, consumer base around this idea, right?
Yeah, of course. And I think it will be like accepted by most people because if you do like a creation, you want to make sure all the stuff all the inscription you recurse is like legit, which means paying the royalty. Because when people see that not legit, and of course we have more partners like Magic Eden, Unisat, they will adopt the BRC420 protocol like in a very, very near future. So when you see that work, it says, okay, this inscription has a royalty deployment, but you're not paying that. So it will make you look bad, right? So I think most people will accept this.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we're sort of used to this with open source development. And a lot of it is by donations. And people do like to donate, especially if they're leveraging, heavily that product, I guess.
And I think in this specific case, like this is for one perfect timing because the JPEG NFT space has, for whatever reason, I guess, gravitated away from this culture, cultural model, and favoring the degen traders over the creators of this art space. So I think now is the perfect time, I guess, to maybe potentially migrate that culture to the metaverse space. The 3D builder, to whatever you want to call it, in this specific arena, but also just the content itself. I guess by supporting a creator with this royalty standard, you're gonna have higher expectations, I guess, down the line, knowing that the creators who are generating this content, they're going to produce even better content down the line, or potentially even upgrade the content that they've already put out, that these people are buying.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a little bit of maintenance expectations to content within the metaverse, much more so than an image of an art project, right?
Yeah.
Most likely that content's never going to ever be updated or changed. But when it comes down to content in the metaverse space, I think the consumer of that will actually prefer if something of maybe like an update to the engine of that virtual space itself had upgrades, and now it's more capable. Let me adjust this content to kind of fit in within that upgrade. So a creator who has been supported, I guess, by his purchasing base through the royalty system is probably much more prone to make these types of upgrades, right, and maintain the quality of the content itself.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, talk about the upgradability of game assets, and the sense like Iman was outlining an example where Godot goes through an update. Like, how does that impact the underlying assets, across leveraging that engine?
Yeah, that's great question. The thing is with Unity, if you're building with Unity before, you will know the pain in the ass is every time they upgrade the engine, the old version is not working anymore. So when you're playing games, probably this game is using a very, very old version because they have years building this game. So the great thing about Godot engine is everything is open source. So we can do as much as we can to make these APIs or this kind of framework more compatible in the future because it's open source. But it cannot 100% be done. But I think that will be a problem in the future because after 3 or 5 years, we will see I think we will see some thing, of course, upgraded by the Godot, but people can use that kind of environment to run new games. But for old games, we will have something like a patch to transfer the old inscription assets running or rendering in a new version. I think that can be done, but I think that's a long question, a long way down the road.
Yeah, because we struggle with this too. So we experience this a lot in Decentraland. As soon as Decentraland doesn't give developers a heads up when there's an update coming, all of a sudden it gets updated, and a lot of our content breaks. and so typically everybody came from the Web 2 side. So in the Web 2 side, typically when there's updates, you get kind of notified before it actually happens. But it didn't happen with decentralized. So we're always like behind the 8 ball when it came to like supporting, like the latest updates and making sure, everything continues working.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, how this can be mitigated and how it can allow developers to continuously improve, their development cycles without having to deal with like old engines being deprecated and like updating and all that stuff. So I think no matter what, it's going to be a problem, no matter like, whether you're in the Web 2 side or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but it is something to think about. So
Yeah, but the thing is, Unity has like 4 versions a year, and Godot have like 1 version through 3 to 5 years, and
okay.
every small version they are like in this 3 to 5 years is open source. So I think we have like tried that before. The problem is like much less in this kind of engine. But with Unity, like every version they're up. Like we're not noticed as well. We have to like spend months to study, to learn. Okay, what's changed?
Yeah.
So that's like the real problem with Unity. Like they don't even tell you like what's going on in their engine.
Yeah, they can't even tell you. Yeah, because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and they're all working on different parts, and then they push the update, and sometimes those different parts don't even communicate with each other. It becomes a pain in the ass just to maintain everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, man. Yeah, so we're definitely deep into like the metaverse infra, I guess, dilemma.
You're definitely teaching us a lot, Jeffrey, and you're really providing a different angle because we see a lot of the problems that you saw like in the Web 2 space, and then us spending our time in the Web 3 space. Like there's a lot of similarities building a kind of like an experience in the 3D realm and just like the virtual realm. And then just applying that to Bitmap and the whole concept of Bitmap itself, introducing a new angle of development and like kind of way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a big challenge for anyone to create anything that has like stickiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, like, in your opinion, what's the best way for the community to collaborate with each other? Is it at the engine level? Is it at the content level? Is it creating, the experiences? Like how can we collaborate?
Yeah, I think probably more like other people have different ideas with me on that question, because for me, I think delivering products is the most important thing.
Okay.
Like people talk about ideas and concepts all the time on like social platforms, but we are kind of being silent and trying to like deliver the products because we believe that's the best way for users to understand or experience it. And if you keep doing that, like we have the marketplace on in 5 days, which like most teams cannot do that in like several months.
Yeah.
So if you keep doing that, deliver stuff, I think at some point people will realize, okay, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's something I want to bring up.
Sure.
If we miss that, I think that's something like very important. We like besides like 2 parts I said before with BRC 420, I think we're still missing one very important part, which is the financial module or the DeFi environment. Yeah. So people are like telling us to build a game like Steppen or Monopoly or Casino or whatever they are trying to do with BMAPs. And I think these kind of games will drive more people interest and understanding what BMAP is. But the thing is, we cannot do that on Ordinals or on Bitcoin right now because we already have a Monopoly game on BMAP. But the mechanism is you have to send money to us. So when you win, you win money. When you lose, we take your money. But we didn't launch that because we don't want to do that kind of centralized mechanism because nobody wants to try to send their money to others. Mm-hmm. But with Unistat's BRC20 module, with Domo's Layer 1 Foundation module kind of idea, we actually figure out like how can we do that by not taking your money, by making this trustless by everyone. Mm-hmm. So if we have that missing piece into BMAP ecosystem right now, and we have a much user-friendly editor or tools, people can actually do some money games. Like I'm not a fan of Ponzi games, but I believe most degens have their ideas. So if we can provide this kind of ability, I think BMAP will be much more popular.
That's such an honest take.
It is.
In this space, because I think we've kind of we've been spending years trying to kind of like come up with our own thesis, like what is going to be the killer app of the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
To onboard the masses. And I think
there needs to be a financial component.
Well, yeah, I think because we've seen that in at least from Web3's like historical perspective, that typically tends to be like what generates a mania in this space, right? You can come up with a new technology innovation all day.
Yeah.
But until you figure out the way the financialization of that, and that onboards the degen demographic, first of all,
yeah,
it really won't go anywhere. And we haven't really seen that in the Web3 metaverse space yet.
Yeah, not only that, Casey Rodemer, I think he made an update on GitHub, I think, where he was talking about BRC20s and fungible tokens. And he came up with like 6 or 7 different iterations of a fungible token and its applications, and one of them was a casino.
Yeah.
And apparently you can build a casino logic kind of esque with like the inputs and outputs of a Bitcoin transaction. And so he's thinking about that from like the fungible token perspective, which I think you can apply to the metaverse in many ways.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and so you're 100% spot on. And I guess the biggest thing you're that's holding all of us back, because we could do this obviously on the Ethereum side because we have smart contracts, right? We have programmability. We can actually build DeFi. We've actually seen DeFi be deployed in Decentraland in the past, right? And we've seen casinos and decentral games and GameFi and play to earn. All these things, they do exist, and because there is like a robust enough of an environment to support that type of a development. So, you identified Domo's Layer 1 Foundation module. What is your opinion on that in comparison to what I guess the track team is doing with TAP? And both of them obviously have very like similar parallels as far as like how do we enable more functionality in these token environments and stuff like that. If you can't just quickly run down like your opinion on that.
We see I see lots of solutions right now with Unisat module, with TAP protocol, with the Bison Labs, ZK Layer 2, all these kinds of solutions. So for me, I think the first thing should be trustless. So if I am sending my money to somebody else's wallets, I'm not going to use that. And second thing is it has to be user friendly. So we have seen lots of great ideas, but if it's not user friendly, it's not going to work. Like we have to make this thing work, right? So right now, why I'm so bullish on this module kind of concept, because I tried this and it's very smooth. It's somehow trustless because the assets are not out of my wallet. It's reading your OP return. So, and I believe it will be open source because they call it white box. So I think that's the only workable solution right now. With TAP, I love the idea of TAP protocol, but right now I think we don't see a workable product. Like I'm an Asian guy, I have to see the product first because that will make me more confident. Like I'm also a dev guy. I know I can write like 10 different ways of doing that in idea, but only the best team can deliver the best products for everyone. Like Uniswap. Uniswap is not like the best techie guys, right? But they deliver the product and everyone loves it. So right now, I think Uniswap module is kind of thing we love. And we were trying to build a new module for games, for Metaverse. So, and we want, like we said before, we want to provide abilities for builders. So everyone, like me and you guys, everyone can build a financial game by using this module. And it's trustless, it's very user-friendly, it's open source. So that's something we are trying to deliver.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like this modular approach just because it allows for composability, right? Everybody builds their own modules and other developers come in and they put the modules together into their own game or own experience. And I think that is the right approach. Is there any place I can read more about modules and like your entire architecture kind of design?
Right now, we don't have it. And I think Unisat, they haven't published the full, the full stack, the open source part.
Okay.
But I believe we will all have that like in the very, very near future. Yeah.
Okay.
And modular blockchain is like one of the hottest idea in Ethereum right now. Like when we're talking to VCs all the time, and they love the idea of modular blockchain. So I actually believe this is the future of any layer.
Yes.
One.
Okay. Yeah, we need to look more into this modular concept because it's something that we sort of we sort of to a certain extent already are leveraged, but not in like not in the way that you're explaining. So I think that's very interesting, and I think it as a very decentralized approach, this might be the best way to do it.
Mhm.
All right, we got a few more minutes left, Jeffrey. Is there any last words that you'd like to kind of tell the community, something to look out for, a next update for Recursive IO?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm very happy to be here today. So I think, when you look at our Twitter, you will see like we actually, bring new stuff every week, every month down the road. And people like our fans, our community members were asking about us when is the next version, or when can we make money on your product?
Yeah.
So I think Metaverse is a very, very long way. Like Roblox has done like that, building their engines for 10 years, for 15 years until they got IPO. I'm not saying we need 15 years for Recursiverse, but I'm just saying it's not something quick and simple like printing money. Like we have all these printing money protocols like this and that and that. It's very easy to use. Everyone can do that. Everyone can make that out in like 10 minutes or an hour. But we are taking another approach by building all kinds of frameworks, modules, products, engines, tools in that ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And when all the pieces are coming together, it will be very easy for everyone to use, to understand, to experience. So it's a long way to go. I encourage people to have more patience in like builders like us, and just follow us. And we believe we have a bright future in the next 1, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah.
Do you think, the things that you're focused on and ourselves, the infrastructure stuff, you're right. This is a multi-year commitment. But do you, you know how the Web3 ecosystem environment works? It's everybody's already kind of like trying to predict what's going to take off in the next bull run that everyone's predicting is going to hit 6 to 18 months out, right? Just based on the rhythmic cycle of Bitcoin and all this stuff. Right. Halvening's coming up. Therefore, bull market for sure has to come out, right? Yeah. So, I mean, this is just like the prevailing sentiment of Web3, and the degens kind of like subscribe to these ideas. So, do you think like, I don't think the core infrastructure that's going to be needed to enable a mature metaverse, even beyond Bitmap, just in the grand scope of everything, to where a majority of human population finds value in prioritization in these types of virtual environments. It's not going to hit in this
18 months.
It's not going to hit within our bull cycle time frame, right? So, is there anything that us developers, us Bitmap ecosystem builders can provide, I guess, that does fit in within that time frame? That, or are you even like not even worried about that? You're only concerned about the infrastructure of the future.
Yeah, so that's why I say showcases like for multiple times. I think like I'm not a perfection like kind of guy, so we always deliver like showcases, prototypes. So I think it's a long way, but it's not like longer than like 1 year or 6 months. So I think we have more partners, more collaboration, more showcases, even smaller games like actually having a shitcoin casinos in BMAPs. Yeah. Like if you are going to have a shitcoin casino on anything, it should be on BMAPs. Yes. So, if we have these kind of things, I think people will get excited, and we give the rights to the builders, like whatever they want to build, and we're just providing the tools.
Dude,
I think he's right.
Such a good point, dude. Yeah, we struggle with financialization of the metaverse and like its necessary component, but we don't want to necessarily promote that so much because it sounds kind of icky. But I think it's a fundamental point of like the cycles.
Well, it's about attracting, I guess, liquidity to this metaverse space, and like we've already kind of all agree that tends to be what attracts developers to want to build and add on to the ecosystem, right? To extract their own value from it. And it sounds icky. Yeah, but it is what it is. We are all human beings, right? We operate under the same OS. Yeah, and we have the same like hierarchy of needs, right? Yeah. So we kind of have to play along that understanding. Yeah, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's a matter of who's going to build these primitives you're describing. Because I agree. I already want to play in this shitcoin casino on Bitmap. Like I'm ready to go. Yeah. So who's going to build it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that, Jeffrey. All right. That's it. I appreciate you for joining us, Jeffrey. This has been one of those conversations really like allowed me to think differently about how we approach the metaverse. So I really appreciate you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you guys. I think this conversation is much more content than I thought it would be.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely.
That's what we like to do.
We are the content bringers, I guess. So, all right, yeah, appreciate it again, and yeah, we'd love to have you back on when you are, make more progress down the line.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you're saying, this metaverse Bitmap endeavor is not like a open and closed case.
Yeah,
right? We're going to be working on this for a long time. So anytime you want to come back on, just let us know.
Yeah, anytime that you want to collaborate, like technically, let us know as well, like how we can help, because we want to contribute, and I think you have the right approach here. So I want to learn more from you whenever we can, and then let's just like work together to make this work.
Yeah, 100%. I will send you guys like the newest information or tools, and just try it and just send me your honest advice.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All the links will be in description. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Jeffrey, for joining us. And that's it for us. Until next time, we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.